General Motors has officially detonated a pricing bombshell that's sending shockwaves across the auto industry. From coast to coast, dealers are scrambling to update their stickers as GM slashes prices on some of its most popular models. Trucks, like the Chevrolet Silverado and GMC Sierra, are seeing cuts of up to $7,000, while SUVs like the Chevy Blazer, Equinox, and even the Cadillac XT5 are dropping faster than anyone expected. It's not just a subtle adjustment, it's a full-on fire sale. These aren't slow-selling base models either. Even mid-level and high-trim versions are being marked down. GM's aggressive strategy is clearly aimed at reigniting consumer interest and clearing bloated inventories, but it's raising even bigger questions. What's going wrong behind the scenes? Why is one of America's biggest automakers taking such a massive financial hit to move metal? This isn't normal behavior for a company that prides itself on stability and legacy. It feels like the ground beneath the industry is shifting, and GM is trying to get ahead of the collapse before it's too late. So why is General Motors doing this? The short answer: they have no choice. The long answer? It's the result of years of overproduction, miscalculated consumer demand, and a rapidly changing market that's left automakers playing catch-up. After the pandemic-induced supply chain crunch, GM ramped up production to meet what they assumed would be continued high demand. But that demand never fully returned, and now GM is sitting on a glut of unsold vehicles that are costing them money by the day. Interest rates are high, financing is harder to get, and inflation is tightening household budgets. Buyers are hesitant, and dealerships are crowded with inventory. On top of that, incentives that disappeared during the chip shortage era are now roaring back. GM simply can't afford to let thousands of vehicles sit unsold, especially when storage, financing costs, and depreciation eat into profits every week. This is a forced move. It's damage control. It's the corporate version of shouting clearance sale before the flood washes over the entire lot. If they don't move these units, their bottom line and their reputation will take a hit even worse than the price cuts themselves. Electric vehicles are no longer the future. They are the present, and GM is struggling to keep pace. Tesla's constant price wars have set a new bar, with Elon Musk slashing costs on the Model Y and Model 3 to levels that legacy automakers simply cannot match. Meanwhile, Toyota has dominated the hybrid market with ultra-efficient, affordable models like the Prius and RAV4 Hybrid. And looming over everything is the threat of Chinese EV makers, especially brands like BYD, who are aggressively targeting global markets with reliable and cheap electric options. GM's answer: the Ultium platform and models like the Silverado EV, Cadillac Lyriq, and Blazer EV have either been delayed, overpriced, or underwhelming in terms of consumer demand. GM banked on an all-in EV future, but now they're caught in a no-man's land. Their EVs aren't competitive enough, and their gas-powered vehicles aren't selling fast enough. As the walls close in, GM's price drops appear to be an act of survival. They're trying to buy time in a race they're no longer leading, and the price is steep. What makes this moment historic is not just that GM is cutting prices. It's how deep the cuts are and how widespread they've become. This isn't a limited-time promotion, a seasonal clearance, or a holiday special. It's a full-scale, strategic shift in pricing to respond to a collapsing market dynamic. For years, new car prices have only gone up. Automakers use supply shortages as justification for price hikes, and buyers, desperate for wheels, had no choice but to pay up. But now the script has flipped. The same manufacturers that were charging $5,000 markups over MSRP in 2021 are now slashing prices just to keep foot traffic in the showroom. GM's decision to discount trucks, arguably its most profitable segment, signals just how serious the situation is. When full-size pickups like the Silverado, which have long propped up GM's balance sheet, are getting thousands shaved off their price tag, you know the company is bracing for impact. This is a play we haven't seen in decades. It's not just reactive, it's revolutionary, and it could set off a domino effect across the entire automotive industry. For consumers, this may be the biggest opportunity in over a decade to score a deal on a brand new vehicle. After years of skyrocketing prices, limited availability, and ridiculous dealer markups, the pendulum is finally swinging back in favor of the buyer. GM's price cuts are forcing other automakers to follow suit or risk losing market share. That means Ford, Stellantis, Honda, and others may be next in line to lower their prices just to stay competitive. This creates a buyer's market unlike anything we've seen in recent memory. If you've been holding off on a car purchase due to inflation, high interest rates, or market uncertainty, now might be the time to take a serious look. Dealers are more willing than ever to negotiate, offer incentives, and push volume just to get cars off the lot. The power dynamic has shifted. No longer are customers begging for inventory. Manufacturers are now begging customers to buy. And the smart buyers are the ones who act while the window is still wide open. While the immediate effects of GM's price cuts might seem positive for consumers, the larger implications paint a much more volatile picture for the industry. This could be the start of a much larger pricing correction, one that forces automakers to reevaluate how they build, price, and sell vehicles in a post-pandemic world. The inflated prices of the last few years were never sustainable, and now the bubble may be bursting. GM's bombshell could be the first of many. As the market corrects, we may see layoffs, factory slowdowns, supply chain retractions, and a rethinking of how vehicles are distributed in North America. Investors are already sounding the alarm, and smaller automakers who don't have the cash reserves to weather a price war may not survive the coming months. If GM, a juggernaut with deep pockets and massive market share, is resorting to mass price slashing, it suggests that the rest of the auto industry is in even deeper trouble. What comes next could be a long overdue reckoning, or the beginning of a new, more consumer-friendly era in car buying. Either way, we are watching history unfold in real time. Behind the scenes, GM dealers are panicking, and it's not just because prices are dropping. Dealerships are feeling the pressure of bloated inventories, slowing foot traffic, and tighter profit margins. While manufacturers like GM cut prices, the brunt of that decision is being felt on the showroom floor. Dealers bought many of these vehicles months ago at higher wholesale costs, and now they're forced to sell them at a loss or hold inventory that depreciates rapidly. Many are privately furious, claiming GM didn't act soon enough and left them holding the bag. Floor plan financing costs, loans dealers use to hold inventory, are skyrocketing due to high interest rates. Some dealers are even suspending new orders because they simply have no room left on their lots. This bombshell from GM isn't just about customer savings. It's creating a rift between corporate and retail operations, one that could worsen as the price war intensifies. The used car market, which boomed during the chip shortage, is now facing a sharp and painful correction, and GM's pricing drop is making it worse. When new cars were scarce and overpriced, used vehicles became the only option for many buyers. But now, with GM and others slashing prices on brand new 2024 and 2025 models, used car values are tanking. Dealers who stocked up on late model trade-ins are seeing their resale values fall by thousands, almost overnight. Consumers who bought used vehicles at inflated prices over the past 2 years are now underwater on their loans. CarMax and Carvana have already warned investors about margin pressures and declining profitability. If this trend continues, it could lead to a wave of repossessions, loan defaults, and financial headaches for both customers and lenders. In short, GM's price drop isn't just shifting the new car market, it's crashing the used car market. Right behind it, with inventory stacking up and consumer demand softening, GM may soon be forced to dial back production, and that could have huge ripple effects. Auto factories across North America, from Michigan to Mexico, are still running at near full capacity. But with cars sitting unsold and dealers refusing more inventory, a slowdown seems inevitable. Production cuts could lead to temporary layoffs, canceled supply orders, and economic pain in the towns and communities built around GM's massive manufacturing footprint. And it's not just GM. If one major automaker blinks, others may follow. Ford, Stellantis, Honda, and Nissan are all watching closely. The auto supply chain is vast and interconnected, meaning even a slight pullback from GM could have a cascading effect on parts suppliers, transport companies, logistics providers, and even ad agencies. The bombshell may have started with pricing, but the fallout could hit the assembly line next. This price war is not just an American problem, it's a global signal. Automakers worldwide are watching GM's moves with extreme interest because the US market often sets the tone for global trends.